Hi guys, it's Cal from Dirty Weasel. Welcome back to the Mod Organizer for Fallout 3 series. The first 3 episodes of this series has been all about getting started modding and stabilizing your game. Here in episode 4 we'll focus on overhauling the user interface and heads-up display. It all starts with DarnifiedUI, and then we'll move on to the Fallout Wanderers Edition. Because it has so many elements that affect the user interface, FWE's installation must be integrated in this section. We'll then cover the mods that require a specific installation process and give you my preferred choices. All in all, almost a dozen mods will be installed in this episode. To say the least, it'll be a long one, so hang in there. It'll be worth the effort. Alright, let's get talking about UI mods. You know, we have Mod Organizer over here, and one of the advantages of Mod Organizer is that basically you can just install a bunch of mods and then move them around so that they overwrite what you want. And you can't really do that with UI mods because it is one of those rare cases where the order in which you install them will have a direct bearing on whether they work or not. Let's talk about Kelmych's guide. And you can see it's the wikistepproject.com user Kelmych Fallout 3. Once again, an invaluable source for all these things. And what you do is you come down and you're looking for section 14, user interface. And when you click on this, you'll see you've got a bunch of stuff and the need for UIO, or user interface organizer. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the first part we're going to talk about is DarnifiedUI. And it is always going to be the base in which you install all the other things, because it all makes, everything work together. I mean, almost all of them have support for DarnifiedUI. So when you scroll down and keep looking at all this stuff, you have, DarnifiedUI, Fallout Wanderers Edition, Advanced Recon Trap, and you have Gopher's mods right there. And you have more and more stuff. Well, you keep scrolling down and you don't even see UIO until the very end. So what this is telling you is that you need to install UIO at the very end of any combination of mods that affect user interface that are included here. There's more interface mods farther down. You keep scrolling down. I mean, this is a long list. Like achievement log, CSM, all that stuff. There's more to be done with UIO mods or HUD mods that you can just go ahead and not worry about in this order. But if you want them to all work together, you're going to have to install them in a specific order. And basically what that means is DarnifiedUI first, and then if you decide that's all you want, just install UIO after that. If you want DarnifiedUI with Fallout Wanderers Edition, it'd be DarnifiedUI, Fallout Wanderers Edition, and then UIO. But there's very specific things that you need to do for this. Now the first thing you want to do is go ahead and click this right here, and it will download the DarnifiedUI 7-zip file that you'll need. Okay, you can see it right down here. Right down here. You can see I've been downloading all this stuff. It'll give you more information. Use the 7-zip version available, which we just downloaded that, and it's on our desktop, and not the FOMOD version available elsewhere. The hotfix version, right here, the hotfix version is not needed as it is already incorporated DarnUI support for FWE, which we'll install later on, if you're using Fallout Wanderers Edition. If you don't want to use Fallout Wanderers Edition, you're going to need the DarnifiedUI, and you're going to need the hotfix. Well, where do you get the hotfix? So you come to the authors page, just go and click on this link right here, and it'll take you to the best of forum for DarnifiedUI for Fallout 3. And I'll tell you all about it. And you just keep scrolling down, and you go past all this stuff because you're not going to need it. And you go down and you'll see download alpha hotfix right there. See this? Right there. Go and download that. Okay, just remember this is for, if you don't want to use Fallout Wanderers Edition, guys. Right, just remember that. So you have both of them on your desktop right here, and you have, that's the hotfix that says HF on it. And this is the main file. It's got docs, menus, meshes, and a DarnifiedUI F3 on it. Okay, date 10/4/2009, just so you remember that, right? So go and close that, and we're going to rename it because we need to make it a little easier to deal with. I'm going to just name it DarnUI. And what we're going to need to do is put it into the downloads for Mod Organizer. If you ever have a question where your downloads are, come over here, this one right here. Advanced, you can see download directory. Mine's on a D drive because this doesn't need to run for anything. It's just where you're going to put all your downloads, and Mod Organizer will go get them as needed. Right? So wherever it's here is where you're going to need to go get them. Minimize that. We have DarnUI right there. We'll go put it into our downloads. Of course, it's our D drive, Mod Organizer, Fallout 3 downloads. You can see this is where all of our downloads are. Just go and drag it and drop it in. And we can go ahead and close that. Now you also can throw this away because it's in your downloads. So when you open up Mod Organizer next time, there's DarnUI right there. You're just going to double click to install. Manual. And here's Docs, Meshes, Textures, and the DarnifiedUI. F3. Yeah, ASP. Click OK. Go to your plugins. And you can see, once we activate it, helps if we do that. DarnifiedUI F3. We're not going to need to do anything else with this. You don't need to reorder it with Loop because it's the only one there. That's it. So remember, guys, if this is for just a vanilla experience without following that Wanderer's Edition, you're going to need that hotfix. So what you're going to need to go do, install a new mod from an archive. I had mine on my desktop. You can see it's right there, DarnifiedUI hotfix. Open that, and we're going to rename it to DarnUI. Click Manual, and it's going to say Menus and DarnifiedUI F3. Remember, this is a hotfix, so you're going to change this. So, press OK. And it's going to say this mod is already installed. Yes, because it's right here. All right, do you want to add files to this archive, overwriting existing ones, or do you want to completely replace? We do not want to completely replace because the hotfix only has certain files, doesn't have them all. So we're going to click Merge. Merge them in. So now when you open this, and you go to your file tree, Docs, Menus, Meshes, Textures, DarnifiedUI, hotfix 2000. I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's it. That's how you know it's been changed. Click Close. So the next step that we want to do is go ahead, now that we've got that installed, come over to your downloads. Remember I said in the section over here on the Bethsop, all these fonts and whatnot, UIO is going to make those changes for us. So that's why we have in the importance of UIO. So let's go take a look at it. The User Interface Organizer, Nexus Mods, Fallout 3 Mods 20867, is done by Jazz's Paris. Jazz's Paris is one of those mod makers of great talent. I mean, this guy does just about everything under the sun of different type of mods. So what you can do is read all this stuff, and it's basically User Interface Organizer, UIO. It will give you all the information about it, but UIO and Mod Organizer do the way Mod Organizer works. You'll see this right here. Okay, installing, removing, getting UI mods to work together in harmony can be very tricky. This is no longer an issue when using UIO alongside Mod Organizer. UI mods can be treated and handled exactly the same way as standard mods. Well, kind of. Note, it's going to add files into your overwrite. We'll see that, but it's not a big deal. Unified HUD by Gopher, you can see it right here. What about it? Gopher doesn't even endorse the use of his own mod anymore. UIO does a much better job. So basically that's why we're using UIO instead of Unified HUD anymore. So like I said, just to recap, this is for the installation for DarnifiedUI without any of this other stuff. So we're just going to be installing DarnifiedUI, and we're going to be installing UIO, Unified User Interface Organizer, to manage all the other stuff. And with this, we don't even need to use the any tweaks. I know it's like magic, isn't it? Just double click to install. I can see it's installed. It's kind of grayed out because I've been playing with it. So double click to install. It didn't even give you a manual installer, it just does it. You want to see what it does. Doesn't have any conflicts, doesn't have any categories, but it has a very simple file tree. FOSC plugin, UIO, and a meta.ini. Not much to it, really. So let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. Alright, so you can see we're at our loading screen now. I've let it go just because the music turned down a little bit. And you can see the text and the font of the text looks completely different. Come over here, you got Unified 3, Fallout 3, Darn Unified F3 version. Okay, that's how you know it's working, right? Alright, let's continue our game and go on in. Okay, and you see right away that the HUD elements, you know, in the bottom left and bottom right corners are much smaller. Yeah, they look a lot better, so it actually kind of brings them down a bit. So it's much easier to do. So when you open up your Pip-Boy, you're going to be able to see a lot more in here. You know, a lot better than the old stuff. Do that, and then I want you to tab out or escape out, and you see a new heading down here, DarnifiedUI F3. Go ahead and click that, and you can see you have all these settings. How you want to do these is entirely up to you, but I'm just going to leave it. If you did not have UIO up and running, these would be all squished together, and you would never be able to read the darn thing. But it works pretty good. I would say that's it looks pretty good, and it's fine to go. So that test is over. Now you may be asking yourself, why exactly did we do that? Well, it was a thought experiment, really. If you wanted to see how it works in action, it's basically, that's how you go. So one of the things you'll need to do is go ahead and deactivate this. And I want you to go ahead and remove DarnUI. Because we're going to be installing Fallout Wanderers Edition. It already has the hotfix in there. So we're going to go ahead and remove the mod. I click yes, and we're going to reinstall it. Manual, there we go. That's all fixed. So we activate that, move it above there. It's now reactivated. All right, now we can go ahead and remove UIO. Because it's going to need to be reinstalled later on, and we have it over here, so we can just do that later. Right, like I said, this is a thought experiment, so that you can see how it interacts between DarnUI and UIO. It'll make the changes just fine, and it doesn't need to be, you know, no any tweaks, no nothing like that. Just let it do its work, and you should be fine. So let's minimize this down, and we get to talking about Fallout Wanderers Edition. Alright guys, so let's get started on Fallout Wanderers Edition, and let's do a quick recap. We are doing the user interface. We have got DarnifiedUI installed. If you look, I went ahead and removed the hotfix that was for if we're not going to use Fallout Wanderers Edition, because it's in Fallout Wanderers Edition, which is right here. Now there's instructions to go through this. We're going to go through it step by step, and I'll show you the important stuff. So let's go ahead and go over to Fallout Wanderers Edition on the Nexus. It is mod 2761, done by the Fallout Wanderer Edition team. There we go. So, you know, the most recent version is 6.03. It's been around a long time. Not a lot has changed since then. Fallout Wanderers Edition is probably pretty much close to Project Nevada as far as the type of game changes it does, but it also adds a number of other mods that you don't normally get. And one of them is going to be Craft, and if you want to go through and look at that, you can. And Caliber. Caliber is a ammo mod. I want to go through and I want to show you this. This is the Fallout Wanderers Edition website. We'll open that up in a new link, and it's going to give you all of the stuff about Fallout Wanderers Edition. And there's a lot. You know, if you want to go through the changes, you know, the overview is probably the best place to look and go through all this stuff. I mean, there's changes a lot of things. So you can do that, read that, know this. I mean, there's a lot to do. You know, just go ahead and know what you're getting into. You know, it's a great mod, and, you know, definitely worthwhile doing if you're looking for a total overhaul mod. What do we need to have? Well, let's go to the Files section, and you're going to see a bunch of different stuff here. And you're going to see, you know, it's kind of in kind of a weird order, but you got the Fallout Wanderers Edition Master Release 6.0, Part 1, Part 2 down here, and a hotfix. Go ahead and download all these. They're big mods, so you're going to need to download them separately and just wait it out, and then you go ahead and get the hotfix. While you're here, grab the primary needs sound disabler. It's going to primary needs this sound disabler disables the primary needs sounds that indicate when you're tired, hungry, thirsty, full, etc. I always found it kind of annoying that you got that weird heartbeat thing, so it's a good thing to have. You'll be tempted to get DarnUI support for FWE, but you won't be installing it at this point. You'll need to be installing it right before you install UIO. And if you look back at Kelmych's site, it'll tell you where to download it in order. So if you keep scrolling down, you know, to make it work, you need to do it right before Adjustable HUD, which we'll be installing in this tutorial. So just trust that it'll get there. This other stuff needs to be installed before it, but if you want it to work correctly, do it before aHUD. So let's go back up, and so we're in the right place in case we have any questions or anything like that. And here's the Fallout Wanderers Edition section of Kelmych. So let's go ahead and minimize this down, and we have Mod Organizer ready to go. And of course, I have part number 1, part number 2, the hotfix, DarnUI support for FWE, which we will not be installing right now. Just keep that in mind. And the unofficial Fallout 3 patch right here, because there's a patch for Fallout Wanderers Edition for unofficial Fallout patch. We'll show that to you real fast so you know what you're doing. Updated unofficial Fallout 3 patch, mod number 19122. You see it right there, and go to the files. You'll need to go grab, it's down here at the bottom, UUF3P Fallout Wanderers Edition patch. So let's go back to the Mod Organizer, and we will start installing this stuff. Right? So go to part 1. You're going to do part 1 first off, and you also need to download part 2. Double click with installer, and it's going to run an external installer. This is going to take a while, so just let it run. It may take up to 5 minutes. So just let it do its thing, and then we'll come back. All right, and you got a message. So archive and validation does not appear to be active. This mod requires it to be activated in order to work correctly. You may get this message. So I know I have it. You know you have it. So would you like to abort this installation? So you may do so now. No, just click no. Right? And you're going to get the phone mod. See, it didn't really change anything. All right? So you're going to go through here. Core components, you want to have all these. Craft, Caliber, Fallout 3 Wanderers Edition, main file master, Fallout 3 Wanderers Edition, main file plugin. The DLC compatibility patches. You have Game of the Year. You should have all these. And then you come down to the follower plugins. Optional. Now you can have this or not. This is actually, if you want to click on this and see what it is, you know, it's going to go ahead and give you some follower tweaks to make it more balanced for the game now that you have Fallout Wanderers Edition. We all have Broken Steel, so we want to go ahead and use that one. Come down here, the optional plugins. Alternate Travel, that's the motorcycle mod. You can find the first one outside of Megaton. I like it. I think it's really cool, so I'll just use that. Optional Restore Tracers. It will put the tracers back in the game for all weapons. If you just want it for the automatics only, you would choose that one. If you don't have either, if you don't have any tracers whatsoever, don't choose any of them. I like it for the automatics. I think that's a pretty cool option. I think I'll keep that. The optional VATS halftime. You know, in VATS, it stops time completely. Well, Fallout Wanderers Edition will give you options of doing halftime, where it'll only play in halftime speed, or real time. All right, you can only choose one. I like the halftime. And with Fallout 4 coming out, they use halftime. We're going to use that. And we click install. You can see it's going through the installer. Looks a little different. And Fallout 3 Wanderers Edition has been successfully installed. Okay. There it is. Go ahead and click to activate. And I want to open up the optional ESPs. Make sure we didn't get anything that we don't really want. All right, so we have all these, the DLCs, and we have alternate travel. That's the motorcycle. And we have Crafter and Caliber and Craft. Scroll down. Followers Enhanced Broken Steel, because we have Game of the Year Edition. We have the main file ESP. The optional Restore Tracers, automatics only. Okay, so we have that. And optional halftime VATS. All right, so that looks like we're all good to go. If you want to come and look at the file tree, you can. There's not much to say, really. Conflicts. Now you can see it's updating a few things on operation anchorage. That's fine. Meshes and textures for something in the updated unofficial Fallout 3 patch. Okay, we can close that. So you can go ahead and leave it right there. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Let's just move on before we even address the plugin. Fallout Wanderers Edition Master Release 6.0 Part 2. You're going to double click to install this as well. And it is going to be FWE-FO3 Wanderers Edition. You may have something else here. Since I already ran it and tested it, it's recognizing it already that that's the way we're going to install it. So make sure you type in FWE-FO3 Wanderers Edition right there. If it has anything else there, make sure it matches whatever the name of the mod is that you've just installed. Go ahead and click Manual. And it's going to show you foam mods and textures. You really don't even need the foam mod, but we're going to leave it in for right now. And you click OK. And we want to merge that mod in. Just merge it in. And since it already exists over here, we want to merge it to that one. So just click Merge. And it's going to go through and add all those textures and a foam mod. Alright, and that's done. We're going to click this and ignore the update. It's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. And then you have the Fallout Wanderers Edition 6.03a hotfix patch. This is going to be a little different than what we just did. Let's go and double click it to install it, and we'll see what happens. And you see, once again, I had to name it FWE-FO3 Wanderers Edition, and you click Manual, and you'll see it's basically a lot of the same thing. You know, you've got a bunch of the same ESP files. Don't worry too much about that. I know you're going to get some stuff you don't need. You could probably take out this, and that would probably be enough to take out. But we'll leave it in right now so you can see how you fix that if you don't. So click OK. And it says the mod is already installed. Yes, it is. FWE-FO3 Wanderers Edition. And we click Merge. Now let's go see what it did. Open this up. Go to your optional ESPs. And when you scroll down, you'll see you'll have two optional restore tracer. Just like before, we need to get rid of the one that we didn't want in the first place. We wanted to keep the automatics, but it threw in an extra restore tracers. I want you to click that and move it up. All right, so now it is listed as an optional one, and it's not a main file. All right, so it's not going to be used, and that's fine. We'll just leave it the way it is. Everything else looks good there. So you still have Caliber, still have Craft. Okay, they replace some stuff. That's fine. Go ahead and close that. And we are going to skip the DarnUI support for FWE. That needs to go before aHUD. And we are going to double click UUF3P FWE patch. So this is the unofficial Fallout 3 patch. And we're going to double click to install. Updated unofficial Fallout 3 patch. And we are going to go ahead and click Manual. And it's the UUF3P FWE patch.esp. It's going to throw an extra ESP into the unofficial Fallout 3 patch. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. And it looks good. We click Merge. When you open this up, you now have optional ESPs. Now you have the UUF3P FWE patch as an available ESP. So what we wanted. Okay, go ahead and close that. Right, so now we can go ahead and just know our conflicts. That's what we did. So it's changing all these. And it's being changed by FWE-FO3 Wanderers Edition. Good. Let's go over to our plugins. I'm just going to make sure that's nice and pretty. Go to our plugins, and we will go ahead and look. Now, that one didn't get activated. We need to activate that because it was in here. It didn't know to activate it. So we'll now go ahead and make sure everything's here. Looks like everything's here. The automatic tracers just for the automatics. So this is what happened, is that for whatever reason in the Fallout 3 Wanderers Edition alternate travel, the ESP is marked as essential, so it was classified as an ESM. So don't worry about that too much. You could change that to make it a non-ESM type thing in F&V edit. Not a big deal. Just leave it there. It's fine. We are going to go ahead and click Loot, and Loot is going to order this stuff for us. Go ahead and click that. And you have Fallout 3. It all looks good. When you go start scrolling down here, when we get to cleaning all these ITM records, we'll have to do that some other time. We'll do that in another mod, or do that in another video rather, and we'll show you how to do all that. But for right now, that looks pretty good. Go ahead and sort plugins. Everything's there. And we can take a look down here and just scroll down and see what we had. So it's kind of moved things around a little bit, and I'm fine with that. Go ahead and click apply and close it. You can see now it's moved things around. And I'm okay with this. This, however it wants to do it, I'm fine with that. Don't change it too much. On the left pane for priorities, I think it's okay. I don't see any major issues here. DarnUI could be up above one tweak. Doesn't really matter anyways, but it's what it needs to be. So look at that and say it's okay. Now, so there's one more thing we got to do, and that's to get the primary needs sound disabler. And I've gotten that from, it's on my desktop. It's here somewhere. There, it's on my desktop. So, you can get that from the Fallout 3 Wanderers Edition at the very bottom. I just downloaded it to my desktop. We won't be really reinstalling this very often. So just go ahead and download it from an archive right there, and you primary needs sound disabler. Click open. And you're going to click manual, and you take a look at it. You have sound, and basically it has all the sound effects for the FWE primary needs. There's a lot more inside the primary needs folder for FWE, but we'll leave those in there. I'm going to disable the readme text. I don't really care, and we're going to click OK. Now this is one of the rare times that I'm going to tell you not to merge this in with FWE. You could, and it would change the sound files in here. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it active, and that way if I decide to come back and do it again, to say I want the yawning and the stomach gurgling and all that stuff, you can do that. It's I don't know, it's up to you. And we will go ahead and get the rest of the mods, just my personal choices, installed for the user interface, and we'll come back and do that. Alright, let's go through the rest of these mods really fast and try and get them all done. Now that we have Fallout Wanderers Edition completely installed, well, mostly installed anyways, we can go through the rest of these real fast. The Advanced Recon Trap Detection by Gopher, the Advanced Recon Thermal Night Vision by Gopher, and the Advanced Recon Rangefinder FO3 by Gopher. All of these mods really need a video all to themselves. Don't really use these. I think that they're great mods, but it's not really my play style. But you can see there's some instructions here that you need to follow. I would go ahead and read those and review Gopher's videos on how to install these. There's not much difference between what I can do there and what Kelmych will tell you how to do to make it work for Mod Organizer. Flashlight FOSE is basically very similar to Flashlight NVSE as far as this operation goes, but you don't actually get flashlight parts. Just consider it a flashlight off of your Pip-Boy. I will be using this. We'll show you how to install that. Dynamic Crosshair. It basically adds a crosshair very similar to Project Nevada. In other words, that it is a dynamic crosshair that will expand and contract based on the accuracy of your weapon. I think it's pretty good, but I'm not a personal user of this. Anti-Star's assorted add-ons. It adds a stim pack counter, a mini sound gun replacer, and you can go ahead and do those. I don't think I need to have a stim pack counter on my screen. I'm fine with that. Powered Power Armor. Very impressive mod, but has some problems, and I don't think that I need it for this playthrough in my personal game. But there is instructions on how to download it. Jip Realistic Weapon Overheating. I think it's another mod by Jazz's Paris that is very innovative. If you're looking for a little tougher gameplay where you have to worry about your weapon overheating and breaking, this is a good one to have. It has its own instructions, but nothing that you can't overcome. Jip Select Fire. I consider this a core. It's listed as a core. I would consider it a core. Once again, Jazz's Paris. Another great mod. I think it's really neat. It has a few little buggles, but not too bad. We'll be installing this. Jip Companions Command and Control. Jazz's Paris yet again. If you like companions and you want to control them better, this has a lot of functionality that half of us will never even use, this is a great one to have. We will be installing that. Smaller crosshair will add different types of crosshairs to your heads-up display, including a very, very small dot, a medium-sized dot, a bullseye, and a larger dot if you want to have a different one other than the typical double chevron. We will not be installing this, but it's very simple. Select one of the 4 crosshair options, download and install with Mod Organizer. DarnUI support for FWE, we will be installing that, of course, because that would be the time to do it. Adjustable HUD by Gopher will allow you to move the different elements of your HUD display around on the screen. Great one to have. We'll be installing that. Immersive HUD allows you to hide the HUD elements if they are not needed on the screen, and I think this is a mandatory one. It's listed as a core, as it should be. And then finally, we'll be installing UIO. That's the time we do it right there. So that's it. Let's go through the ones that we recommend, and we'll start with Flashlight by Dockham. It is mod 15003. Not much on the description. It'll tell you basically a little bit about it. Come over to your Files section and simply download with Manager on version 1.5. GIP Selective Fire by Jazz's Paris, mod number 20012. Come over to the Files section. Well, you can see all these functionalities. I mean, just great stuff. And you'll have to learn how to use it. I'm just going to show you how to install it. And you want to get the GIP Select Fire Faux Mod. Download with Manager. Next up, GIP Companions Command and Control, mod number 20035. Talk about all the functions on this. You're going to have to read through all this to understand how it works. Unified HUD project, don't worry about that. Okay, requires FOSE. Read the instructions on how to use this thing. It's so much stuff, but you'll really enjoy using it if you like companions. Come over to the files. There's only one file to download. It is FOSE required. Download with Manager. Adjustable HUD by Gopher. This is the one that allows you to move things around. There are 2 versions. There's one for Darnified and 15886. This is the mod number. See, I'm getting ahead of myself. Come over to the files. There's 2 versions, Darnified and the vanilla MTUI. We obviously want the Darnified because we're using DarnUI. Download that with Manager. And then finally, Immersive HUD. This is the one I really, really like because I like a clean screen when I'm playing, and that will allow you to hide things as needed. All right, so this is mod 15790. Gopher does a great job on this. If you want to see his videos on how it works, you can go ahead and go to his channel and look this up, or just look up iHUD for Gopher. Go to the files. There's only 2 things you need on this screen. There's the Immersive HUD iHUD. The main file requires FOSE and UIO. We will have both of those. Download with Manager. Under optional files, the Darnified FWE patch is what we were going to be looking for, and we will download that also. So we will have all those. Whew, there's a lot of talking there. Let's open up Mod Organizer and take a look at all these. Of course, you have them all in order, and we will, before we install Adjustable HUD right here, we will be installing DarnUI support for FWE, and then we'll be finishing with UIO. So let's get going on this. So Flashlight version 1.5, double click to install, manual, and the only one we're looking for on this is unclick all of these except for the Flashlight LOS ESP. Non-FOSE version, don't worry about that. The low performance non-OFSE, don't worry about that. We don't need this other stuff, okay? Just the flashlight./los.esp. Click OK to install. Highlight it. We will go ahead and go to information. Nexus info, you can see it didn't get the right info. We will highlight that, go back to Flashlight, and it is version 1.4. 1.4. Click close. There we go. Now that's right. All right. So let's see. GIP Select Fire Faux Mod. Double click to install. Going to run an external installer. It'll give you a pop-up. You'll be prompted to confirm overriding existing files. This is for Nexus Mod Manager. You can go ahead and click OK. There it is. Conflicts, we'll talk about conflicts later once we get all these things done. There shouldn't be any conflicts we have to worry about at this point, but it's something to keep in mind. GIP companions, command and control. Double click to install. It's going to run the installer again. And it's going to go ahead and show you all these. These are, if you had these companions, you would have these highlighted up. So go ahead and just install. During the installation, we prompt to confirm. Yes, we'll do it again. And there you go. And of course, more conflicts, but we'll have to go over those each in turn. Now we've reached adjustable HUD. Now is the time we install DarnUI support for FWE. And we're going to choose, I had to double check, I choose this one right here. DarnifiedUI support for FWE 6-02 is the correct version. We can hit manual, and we have menus, textures, DarnifiedUI 3 ESP. Example screenshot we don't need, and the README we don't need. Go ahead and click install. And we are going to go ahead and get this message again. I would not worry about that too much. We'll ignore the update. We can go back and put in the version number for this, but it is actually going to be the same as FWE 6.0. If you want to do that right now, let's do it and do it right now. 6.03. Done. Close. And then finally we can move down to aHUD. This is the adjustable HUD by Gopher. Double click to install. Manual. Menus, textures, and aHUD.esm. Click OK. And activate. And then finally the Immersive HUD. And there's two files to do this, so you're going to need to do this one first. Double click to install. Manual. Menus and iHUD.esm. Go ahead and click OK. And activate that. And then the Immersive HUD FWE patch. This is going to be a little bit different. Immersive HUD iHUD. Immersive HUD iHUD. It matches over here. We are going to go ahead and check manual. It has the menus. Looks okay. Click OK. And we're going to merge it into the Immersive HUD iHUD file that we already have. Click merge. There we go. Now those are all gone. Everything's done. So let's just go ahead and look at some of these conflicts. Overwrites files. We know it's overwriting DarnUI support for FWE. That's what we needed. That's why we had to wait for this, because we want to get this done first. And then we'll move up to aHUD. It's going to overwrite these, not a problem, because it's going to be changing all these. We can move those elements around now. This is why you do these in order. It's kind of strange. DarnifiedUI support is being overwritten by these two. You can see there's a pattern going on. It will be overwritten all these different things. So don't worry too much about this. This is why we do it in a specific order, so they will end up in this specific order. The only thing that you have to worry about is make sure that you don't mess this up. So those are all in. Now is the time we install UIO, because this is going to make everything we just did work together. Double click to install, run the external installer, and we click close. Click activate rather. So there's that. So this is all ready, set, and to go. We've got everything in place. I'm going to minimize my... And we are going to go see what we got. We got FOSE ready to run. That was a lot of work. Let's see if it all paid off. Let's run the game. So when you start coming into the game, you're going to start getting some messages. And you saw one up in the corner. It said the flashlight, GIP companions command and control. This is how you activate it. You press C by default, and you can go through all these tutorials. I would suggest doing so. Learn how to use it. It's important stuff. Click OK. You're going to get another one for GIP select fire tutorial. We'll go ahead and skip the tutorial, but I suggest you go through it. It's important to know. Skip tutorial. And you'll see the screen looks a lot different. It is basically clear. So, you may be thinking, what happened to all my HUD elements? Where are they all at? Well, press I, and there they are. And you'll see down in the bottom right, you actually have a grenade counter. That's part of FWE. And you have hunger, thirst, and sleeping indicator. And you actually have a little time. But let's say you wanted to change those. Let's go ahead and press F6, and you have the aHUD menu, right? And this is allowing you to move things around, right? You can just adjust things. Let's say you wanted to adjust this key. How about the compass, right? Move compass. You now use your arrow brackets. You can see the compass is moving. We can move it all the way up. We're just going to leave it off right now and press any key to go back. And you can hide the compass bracket. And move the compass. Okay, there it is. Right, if you want to move it again, you could. Move it around. If you want to move it in the center, you can. Go through all those different options. You can figure it out where you want it later. If you like it at the bottom, I actually like mine at the top, but we'll leave it down here at the bottom for right now. And press the space bar to go back to set it. You can go back, and you can move all these other things too. All right, so that's done. So you can see why this is, a very valuable tool. You can start removing brackets, move things around, do a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and escape out, and you're going to go down to this new option you have down here, and that's the DarnUI. Select that, and you'll have all of your settings for DarnUI. Right? That's how you get it. That's how you start making changes to your HUD elements to make things work. Go back. Continue, and we'll just go through this in turn. Open your Pip-Boy, and you go to Apparel. You'll have a bunch of different things. This is a command headset. You don't really need these for group commands. It's provided by FWE, but JIP's going to do a better job. FWE control panel. You can see all the different presets and settings for the game. That's why I told you to go to the FWE website so you know how to set all this stuff. Flashlight options. Because we have nothing, we change the color and change the hotkey. Press new hotkey now. We're going to press L because that's how I like it. I like it at L because L is light. And then finally the triage tag. You can use a stim pack to restore a small amount of health to a crippled limb. Put away your Pip-Boy to begin first aid. Okay. There we go. You see me actually get it up. Cancel treatment. So it all works. Everything will work just fine. I'm going to set mine up to be the way I like it later, but you can do the same for yours. Play with it, learn the settings and the elements that you like really well. Obviously, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Works really well. Of course, I like the little double chevron crosshair. That's why I didn't change it. It's just me. And pull out your weapon. There it is. We're going to address that soon. I hate this first person view. I like iron sights. But that's a preview of another video. So, that's it for now, guys. That was a long video, and I think that it was well worth it. We can see all the big changes, and you will definitely enjoy the game with the new HUD elements. That's it for now. My name's Cal. I'm from Dirty Weasel, and I'm signing off.